So good morning students, welcome to my next class. We are reading A Long Walk to Freedom. In the previous class where we just concluded, we discussed that in the oath-taking ceremony, the impeller jets, Air Force of South Africa, they were flying in the sky and they are trying to make the national flag. They are trying to draw the national flag of South Africa through the fog, through the smoke they emit, and that has been described. So let us resume our discussion from where we had left last day. So we are reading Long Walk to Freedom, and let's start from page number 19. I feel the text is with you, and keep on asking questions to me. Few of your friends have already asked questions, so I feel that you will also ask questions using your user ID and password. So let's start from this part, that where we just ended last day, that we saw that South African Impala jets, they tried to actually make this South African flag with the smoke in the sky that we discussed last day. So we will start from here. The day was symbolized for me by the playing of our two national anthems and the vision of whites singing Inkosi Sikili A Africa and blacks singing Daithim. You know that in South Africa, as it was, the racial discrimination was there, apartheid rules were there, so they had to the white people had different anthem, whereas the black people both had the different anthem. So on that day, both black people and the white people, they sang their national anthem, the old anthem of the republic, that is the Daithim. Although that day neither group knew the lyrics of the anthem, they weren't despised. They would soon know the words by heart. Narrator told us either group means the whites, they did not know the anthem of the black people. The black people did not know the anthem of the white people. But Nelson Mandela hoped that in few days they would learn to sing the national anthem by their heart. On the day of the inauguration, which day he is talking about, don't forget, 10th May 1994. I was overwhelmed with a sense of history. Now on the day of inauguration, standing on the podium, as if he was overwhelmed, he was just mesmerized with a sense of history, thinking what has happened in the past. In the first decade of the 20th century, a few years before the bitter Anglo-Boer War, and before my own birth, that his mind has actually raced back the history, and he is telling about before it was Anglo-Boer War. Let me tell you, Anglo-Boer War is known as also the Second Boer War, where actually the South African two states, that Republic of South Africa and Orange states, they fought against the British empires, and the war was fought in between 1899 to 1901, and the war was there for the supremacy, for the ownership of the diamond and gold, which was found in that place of South Africa. So actually Nelson Mandela was telling that before this war was fought and before he was born, the white skinned peoples of South Africa patched up their differences and erected a system of racial domination against the black-skinned peoples of their own land. Now he is telling that before he was born here, the white people, white-skinned people of South Africa, they had started this racial domination, this apartheid system, and they were torturing the black people of their own land. The structure they created formed the basis of one of the harshest, most inhuman societies the world has ever known. Now here Nelson Mandela had described that actually this is the society, this is the political system, the apartheid system that the white people achieved. It was the most inhuman. Even the societies had not experienced such inhuman practice that the white people used to unleash on the black people of South Africa. Now, in the last decade of the 20th century, and my own 8th decade as a man, that system had been overturned forever and replaced by one that recognized the rights and freedoms of all peoples, regardless of the color of their skin. What Nelson Mandela has told, that in the last decade of the 20th century, I feel the timing of 20th century, it should be 1901 to 2000. This is the timing of 20th century, and he is telling that in the last decade of 20th century, that is in 1990, starting from 1990, that is the last decade of 20th century. And Nelson Mandela told that in that last decade of 20th century and his 8th decade, means when he was 80 years old, the system of this apartheid system has totally been wiped out, that overturned forever, and replaced by one such government rule where there will be no discrimination based on the color of their skin. Actually, there will be no discrimination. That Nelson Mandela told. That day had come about through the unimaginable sacrifices of thousands of my people whose suffering and courage can never be counted or repaid. Now, on that very day, joyful day, on that victorious day, Nelson Mandela remembered that how they achieved this victory over this apartheid system. Now, as I told, his mind raced back to the history, and he could remember that for achieving this victory, the thousands of my people, thousands of the black people, they had to sacrifice their life. Not only that, they had undomitable courage, and they had to sacrifice their life. And this sacrifice cannot be counted, cannot be repaid, cannot be recompensed. I felt that day, as I have on so many others' day, that I was simply the sum of all those African patriots who had gone before me. This is the generosity of Nelson Mandela. He is not demanding the credit of his own. He might have demanded the credit that yes, I have brought this victory, but no, he is telling that I feel today, as he also felt it earlier also, that he is the sum. He is the adding of all these, people who had sacrificed their life, who had gone before him. That long and noble line ended and now begin again with me. He told that the long and noble line of whom? Of those people who have sacrificed their life for achieving this justice, to release the people from the torture of the white people. So he told that this struggle had ended with me. I am the last person in this line. And it has started with me also. Means it had started a new history from me also. I was pained that I was not able to thank them, and that they were not able to see what their sacrifices had wrought on that very day. Nelson Mandela is thinking that he is unhappy. He is feeling the pain because he could not give thanks. He could not congratulate those peoples who had started this fight, who had started this struggle, and he is also pained that those people, they are no longer there. They all died, and they could not see that what their struggle had achieved on that day. Yes, those people had sacrificed their life. One day those people had started their struggle, and today they achieved the fruit of this struggle. But Nelson Mandela is very unhappy because on that very day nobody is there, and he could not congratulate, or he could not give them thanks for this achieving this victory. The policy of apartheid created a deep and lasting wound in my country and my people. Again, he is telling that it had done a great damage, it had done a great harm, this policy of apartheid that continued for more than 3 centuries. All of us will spend many years, if not generations, recovering from that profound hurt. He is telling that it will require lots of time, lots of years to recover from this wound. that apartheid system had already engraved on the soil of South Africa. But the decades of oppression and brutality had another unintended oppression and sorry but the decades of oppression and brutality had another unintended effect, and that was that it produced, he is telling that yes, this decade, that oppression, the brutality, these also had given birth great people, and these are that it produced the Oliver Tambos, the Walter Sisulu's, the Chief Littleys, the Yusuf Dodus, the Bram Fissers, the Robert Sobuskes of our time. Now one note is there that these are the prominent names in the struggle against apartheid. He wants to mean that this struggle had given birth of these so great people who actually led this struggle, who actually was, who are the spearhead of this struggle. Now I have a question. I feel you may have the question that these are all the proper noun, but our narrator had used the definite article in before the proper noun, such as the Oliver Tambos, the Walter Sisulu's. Actually, it grammatically it may appear it's wrong, but no. Here our narrator wants to say that Oliver Tambos, the Walter Sisulu's. Actually, these are not only Oliver Tambos or Walter Sisulu's or not only Yusuf Dadus. Actually, these are the people like them. These people might be the leaders, but behind them there are large people. They also sacrificed their life. So here, by using the in front of these names, here our Nelson Mandela wanted to mean to all those people who had sacrificed their life, and these people were at the head, at the beginning, at the very starting of this line, who actually sacrificed their life. That is why the definite article D was placed before this before this proper noun. Actually, it means that not only this person, but also there are so many persons who had sacrificed their life. Now, men of such extraordinary courage, wisdom, and generosity that their like may never be known again. And he is telling that these were the men of extreme indomitable courage, extraordinary courage, wisdom, and generosity. And he thought that this kind of people may never come back to this earth. Perhaps it requires such depths of oppression to create such heights of character. This is great line. He is telling that all these people that he had named, that they were great person, they had indomitable courage, they were brave person, they were intelligent person. Probably the level of oppression they had tolerated, this oppression had helped them to achieve this level of courage, to achieve this level of intelligence. That if we keep on, if we just give pressure and pressure to somebody else, and if he can absorb this pressure, then this character, this person might be a very strong one, might be a very strong person, because he has accustomed with all this pressure. On the other hand, if you give pressure to someone else and who cannot absorb this, he may break down. He may break down. So here Nelson Mandela wants to say that these were the people who achieved this height of courage, of generosity, of wisdom, because they had tortured that level of oppression and torture. They had tolerated that level of oppression and torture. My country is rich in the minerals and gems that lie beneath its soil. He is telling about that minerals. We know that South African soil is there is diamond, there is gold. But I have always known that its greatest wealth is its people, finer and truer than the purest diamonds. So he told, yes, I know my soil of my country is rich with minerals, but I feel that the people is the greatest mineral than the purest and truest than diamonds also. Yes, because there's a people who actually made it a success, the struggle against apartheid, and they achieved this success. It is from these comrades in the struggle that I learned the meaning of courage. This is also generosity. He is not establishing his credit. He is always giving the credit to others. And that is the symptoms, that is the signs of a great, a generous person. That he doesn't beat his own drum. Here, Nelson Mandela is doing the same. He is taking the name of other people times and again. He is not demanding his own credit that yes, I have done this. I have, brought this achievement. He is, every time he is taking the name of these great leaders. Here also he is telling that I had learned this courage from these comrades, from these companions. Time and again, I have seen men and women risk and give their lives for an idea. He told that I have seen times and again, many a times I have seen people taking risk for their life and giving their life, sacrificing their lives. I have seen many stand up to attacks and torture without breaking, showing a strength and resilience that defies the imagination. He told that I have seen people that how much they had tolerated the torture that defies the imagination, means that even imagine, we cannot imagine. Defies means prevent. That also prevent our imagination. In our imagination also we could not reach to that level, where in reality, to that level, these people had tolerated this torture. I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. That is great line, if you can underline it. I learned the courage was not the absence of fear. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph. Triumph means win over it. If means he is telling real courage is that winning over the fear. Everybody fears. Everybody fears. Everybody has their fear. But the courage is if we can win over that fear, then only we can have that real courage. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. That is also a great line. He is telling that a brave man is not that who is not afraid of fear. A brave man may have the afraid of fear, but brave man is he who can conquer, who can win over fear. We will have to try to win over the fear. We must not try to pass to tackle fear. We must not escape from fear, but we will have to try to win over it. And then only we will be a true brave person, according to Nelson Mandela. And those people were just like that brave person. No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin or his background or his religion. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love, for love comes more naturally to human heart than its opposite. He is telling, yes, nobody from mother's womb, nobody actually has learned to hate other people. If it is taught to them, then it is also possible that we can taught people to love others, because love comes very natural to human heart. Even in the grimmest times in prison, grimmest means most grave time in the prison, when he was kept behind the bars, when my comrades and I were pushed to our limits means here pushed to the least point of our ability, they were being tortured and tortured and tortured. I would see a glimmer of humanity in one of the guards. There, our narrator told that there also, in the eyes of one of the guards, our narrator saw that the brightness of humanity. Perhaps just for a second, but it was enough to reassure me and keep me going. But for a few moments, for a very little moment, our narrator could realize that these guards who were torturing or oppressing them, they are also human beings. Man's goodness is a flame that can be hidden but never extinguished. He is telling, yes, man is born good, and his actually goodness can never be extinguished, can never be put out. It can be hidden but can never be put out. These are the great line. We'll have to try to understand all this. We have discussed. Now in our next class, we will discuss more about the remaining part of this chapter. Till then, goodbye. And if you have any queries, ask me question. I will answer you.